Planning and Zoning Commission,
Recording in progress.
pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to introduce our new member of the team for the administration of planning and zoning. That's Cameron Nash. Is that correct? Nadish. N-A-U-T-S-C-H.
N-A-T-U-S-C-H.
Nadish.
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 Welcome back.
Cameron.
Welcome back. It's really nice to have Cameron.
We'll get it down.
All right, okay. And there's a new lady in the office also, Mark, right? Emily, is it Emily? No. Elmira.
She's a shared staff person with Public Works, and she's a great person. She's a great addition to the staff. So with two new members, we're looking forward to getting things back on a smooth track.
Okay, what's Elmira's last name?
D'Onofrio.
Donofrio. Well, that's an Italian name, and I understand you can't pronounce it. All
He's a
right.
heck of a baker, too.
Is she?
Christmas cookie.
Carol, please do the roll call.
Ray Antonacci.
Here.
Dan DeVito.
Here.
Ken Demir.
Here.
Richard Antonetti. He wanted to be on. Lou Cavallo.
Here.
Dave Pope. Bob Marinaro. Joe Duva.
Here.
Jack McHugh.
Here.
John Nygren.
Here.
Okay.
Bob was supposed to be on there too, Carol. Bob.
He was. He's not here.
Thank you.
He's in Florida, but I said about being on the Zoom.
He's on the golf
and
course.
He said he wasn't sure.
Okay. That means if his wife was home to help him, he'd be on.
I'd like to put Jack McHugh in for David Pope tonight, and Joe Duva in for Bob Marinaro. Thank you. Public participation. Does anybody from the public on general matters have anything to say or speak to the commission? Excellent. Oh, okay. Let's correct this. On the replacement of people, Bob is not a full-time member. We'll put Joe Duva in for Luigi Cavallo.
He's on.
He's on.
Oh, he's on.
Oh, he's on? He's
Oh,
on?
Bob is here?
No, Luigi's on.
Oh, Luigi.
I can get off and you can put.
No, we need you.
What did he say?
He said I could get off, he says, if you want me to.
No, stay on, Lou.
Who else is absent?
We're good.
Dave Pope.
Let's leave it alone. Dave
Okay.
Pope was already replaced.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for that.
Well, yeah, you.
All right, we have minutes that have been prepared. The minutes are ready. I think we sent those minutes, didn't you, Carol?
I'm sorry. Yes, I did. They were in
Okay.
your packet.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 4th, 2024?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay,
I was absent.
okay. Staff report.
Skipping over public participation.
I did.
Good evening,
Anybody's here.
Mr. Chairman and Commission. Well, as you know, the regs were finalized. They are online. We're driving people to them, certainly touting their ease of use and accessibility. So we hope that they make everyone's job more fruitful and effective going forward. Glenn Calder will come into the office in mid this month to do an introduction for the whole entirety of the land use staff and building staff. And he'll show us how to do revisions as they may come up. Something, I guess, to think about for the coming year, and this is somewhat dependent on the budgeting process, but we talked about tier two issues to try to tackle this year. So if we can give some collective thought to some of those issues, we can somewhat line him up and prioritize them. Kind of following along with that, we've gotten Municity, the online land use portion of Municity is coming along. We've actually got Cindy, the former building department technician, who turns out to be a Municity whisperer, or Municity guru. I've got her coming back into the office on an as-needed basis to help to move that along. We have just recently, moved through the online process to see how it's working, and really just a couple of more meetings with Municity, and it should be live. Now that we have the regs in place, we want to take advantage of, again, those click links and the flow charts that are in the regs, and attach them to Municity so we could make that process go more smooth as well. As you've noted, we have a new staff on board and look forward to getting back to kind of normal business, a normal course of business. The medical building on Straits Turnpike is now open. They did receive their final CO. With one exception, they do still need to cover the RTUs, the ductwork on the top of the building. So they posted a bond to put some framing around those. They unusually stick up and out, particularly depending on the view, because they wanted them raised like 16 inches off of the surface of the roof, and it makes them all the more noticeable. As we've seen on the agenda, I won't get too much into it, but instead of seeing the Tractor Supply Company tonight, you will see that at the February meeting. They submitted their application just last week formally, but we found a couple of obstacles that needed to be corrected. One of them was an application to the Inland Wetlands Agency, which will happen tomorrow night, and they will revise the re-subdivision portion to a lot line revision. But again, you'll see that next month. That's all that I have.
Thank you. All right, new business. We have the application for a two-lot subdivision on 108 Butternut Lane, Watertown, Connecticut, for Robert Laflamme. Attorney Strube is here, and the engineer, I assume.
Yes, hi, good evening.
The floor is yours.
For the record, Jim Strube from Secor, Cassie McPartland, offices in Waterbury, Southbury, and Litchfield. Before I get moving on this, let me just say one thing. Mark and Carol, you would not know that they were down staff. They were responsive to any inquiry our office made, and things struck me as smooth as they'd always been, so I thank them both for their efforts. And we'd worked with Cameron before, so we welcome him back also. This subdivision, two-lot subdivision at the end of the improved portion of Butternut Lane. If we want to throw a picture up here. I'm going to go through a couple of things on the history of it. One of the conclusions will be I don't believe that the commission needs to hold a public hearing. Obviously, that's for the commission to decide, but we can talk about why that is. Okay, we have a split screen instead of a full screen. Okay. Yeah, you definitely don't need my ball spot in there. Okay, so this is Butternut Lane. The property is that entire north side of Butternut Lane. And it's a really unique property. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it. It was the old indoor pool club that a woman ran out at that property. The original structure, which is closer to the road that Chris Pulaski from Civil One is pointing at now, that was presumably an old farmhouse. The tax assessor card shows it as constructed in 1840. The pool house, we'll call it simply because when I went to go see Roseanne D'Amelio and look through the building files, that was built in 1990, completed in around 1990. It was funny, when I went in there to ask her for the history, she started laughing because she remembers taking her kids to parties there back in the early 90s. So in between the two, it's not shown on here because in our subdivision application we're removing it so we can comply, but on the existing conditions, you'll see that there's a connection that goes between the 1840 structure and the 1990 structure. That's all one lot. That was all put in so that it's considered a single dwelling. If you go to the tax card, it'll just list as a single dwelling. The pool was, when our clients, Bob LaFlamme and his son Kevin, purchased the property that was no longer being used, somewhat being run down, they filled in the pool and turned that pool house side into dwelling area. So it is, and it's okay, it's all one structure, one lot. It's basically a big dwelling at this time on, what is it, 9 acres?
Yes.
On 9 acres. The reason why we're not here with the first cut is in 1984, to the west end, you'll see the green line. Everything west of that, it was divided into two. It had been approximately 20 acres. And years ago, that was part of another development. The town of Watertown owns that portion that you can see right there that abuts our piece. Pursuant to your regs and pursuant to our common practice, myself and Brian Baker from Civil One, some time ago, came in and met with Mark, and I think Moose at the time, and I know Paul was there too. We met and we discussed this subdivision. We discussed that if we took down the building and materials in between the two main structures, that we would meet the setback requirements. And that part of the problem was, since the pool house portion, which is, again, no pool is in it, they've been trying to sell this whole property for some time, and I think Mark can attest to this. There's been a lot of unique buyers that have come in, kind of sniffed around, goat farmers, other people, and in the end, they've all said, yeah, can't get our hands wrapped around this, don't know what to do here. So a number of years ago, we actually had a plan that showed around 5 lots, all this area, in this area that Chris is showing now. And in the end, the decision that was made was just to come for a single subdivision, put a single line in. It's not a re-subdivision, that's why a hearing's not required. It's your discretion whether a hearing's required. We're not adding any dwelling space. In fact, we're removing dwelling space. So in terms of the impacts on the immediate area and the request for services from the town, there's none, right? It's the same dwelling space that exists now. There'll just be a lot line in between. There's the same parking areas that exist now. What we do add, which I actually think is a better situation, very uniquely, the 1840s farmhouse had its septic system across Butternut Lane. So right there is the septic system serving both structures currently. You'll see up to the left, there's a new septic system proposed, approved by the health department, that will just service what I call the pool house. So you'll have two separate distinct septic systems that will serve the two. Again, those are maintained privately. You'll have two wells serving the two properties. Those will be maintained privately. Again, health department has approved, as is now at least my office's practice, and I believe Civil One's practice. We went through the entire wetlands process before we came to you. So we have our wetlands approval for what you see before you. The wetlands, again, very uniquely, there's a fair amount of them, but they're all across the road. Okay, so what was in the regulated area for us was the actual removal of the material on the north side of the road. And then the septic system is actually beyond, far enough up and away that it's actually outside of the regulated area. But it was something that was looked at. There was one improvement that we, in response to some discussion on a site visit, on the lower end of the driveway serving the pool house, there was some erosion. So Chris put a plan together that Paul reviewed that catches some of that runoff. And again, that's all approved. You'll notice, very unique to this too, Butternut Lane, the improved portion really ends right at the end of this. You'll see that there's two existing turnoff areas that cut into the property across the road. Important to note that the property across the road is in a separate lot, but it's owned by the same owners as the properties with the dwellings on it. So we had a pre-app meeting, came to the consensus that a single subdivision line in between, if we took down the connection in between, was positive, understandable given the inability to sell, market the property. Went and got health department, went and got wetlands. Then we applied for the subdivision approval. And then, of course, it got referred over to Paul's office to review. And a letter came in from Paul, which asks for certain, I guess I would use the word exactions, but basically walking through the subdivision regs, asking us to widen the right-of-way in terms of the title to it, to allow the town to get up to 50 foot right-of-way. That's what's required in the subdivision regulations. Also to widen the travel way, which at some points along Butternut Lane decreased, I think his letter says 14 to 16 feet, wants to widen that. And then it also asks that I assume the rear turnaround be paved. Okay, so I've been practicing this land use stuff for 21 years as a lawyer, and before that I had the opportunity to work with attorney Gail McTaggart for a number of years, and never once in 21 years has I received a letter that made me think of law school. And when I read Paul's letter and the import of it, I certainly understand the letter. I understand the request he's making because he's doing his job. He's walking through the regulations. But it was like a flashback to sitting in my land use class in law school where there are U.S. Supreme Court cases about exactions, about takings, and that those takings and exactions that are in regulations. So, for example, the widening of the right-of-way, the widening of the travel way, the paving of the turnaround. Those are all things that under your regs, you say to the developer, hey, developer, you're getting a bunch of lots here. You're going to give us these things. That's what's in the regs. Makes sense, right? Developer's getting something. Town wants to make sure everything's uniformly done around town. In this case, and the Supreme Court cases, which I haven't read since law school, which are here, Nolan and Dolan specifically, they talk about there having to be a nexus between the exaction and the benefit that the property owner developer is getting, and that the amount of that exaction has to be roughly proportional to the impacts that the proposal is going to have. So here, we have zero increase in traffic. We have zero increase in any sewer or water system. The septic system privately maintained actually improves the health code situation, in my opinion. The turnarounds exist already. We've gone to wetlands. I have no interest in going back to wetlands. Any improvements that are right away are going to cause us to have to go back to wetlands. we went there already. That's our practice again, and coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission, it seems better for us to go through wetlands first and then come to planning and zoning. So then you say to yourself, well, Paul wrote a letter based on the regs. How can we, the Planning and Zoning Commission, possibly not agree with what he's asking? So since you're acting as the Planning Commission here, not as the Zoning Commission, your subdivision regulations are operative, and at section 3.4.10, the provision entitled Waiver of Conditions. And what I'll formally do for next meeting, I'll do it well in advance of that, I'll submit a formal written request that these items that Paul points to in his letter, while valid requests, we will ask that they be waived. It requires a 3/4 vote of your commission versus the normal just majority. And the purpose for that is the actions we're taking down that area in between, putting in that septic system, filling both dwellings as they've been for the last 10 or 15 years, it has no impact on the immediate area. It doesn't impact the neighbors. It's exactly the same as it was before. It just removes a little house. It allows us to put a lot line in. It allows them to market the property better. So literally, other than taking that out, it's just drawing a line on. You'll see we are not asking to waive the open space requirement. We're offering this portion of land which attaches right up to land owned by the town of Watertown already, which made sense. If in the future, whoever buys this property says, oh boy, can't wait to subdivide that, I'm gonna use that other acreage, then all these things that we're asking you to waive now, you would say, hey, listen, now you're getting something. You're building more than before. You're having more houses. We want the road widened. We want the travel way widened. It's the end of the road. We want a bigger turnaround. One thing we are willing to offer that wasn't on our original plan, if you want to go to the last one. Because, and I'm happy to say it out loud, because if you notice the wetland line runs right along those two existing turnarounds. So what Chris has done is he's marked the two areas with hash marks. We are happy to give the town a easement over those two turnarounds to either maintain them as they are currently, to improve them if they want, certainly to use them. I'm sure the town uses them already, which is, of course, why they're there. The first one actually has a sign on it preventing people from parking in there because it's needed for a turnaround for the vehicles. So, I know you're just receiving it tonight, so I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but my first goal is see if you have any questions and to see if we can proceed without a public hearing. I just don't think it's necessary under the circumstances presented. Again, that's your choice, not mine, just a request by us.
I have a couple of questions that
Sure.
I'd like to pose to you right now. What's the, first of all, where do the improvements to this road end on this map? I mean, there are improvements, right, to this road at Butternut Lane. There is some of the Butternut Lane, I assume, is asphalted?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the pavement ends just beyond the second driveway, or I forgot which lot is which, but the westerly driveway that
Right there?
he's talking about the drainage
Okay, the
improvements. So
pavement is there, okay.
then it's
Okay.
just kind of a path or trail
right.
beyond that.
And then, is this a town-approved and
It is
accepted
to
road?
that, to the end of the improved part of the road, yeah,
All right, it's a town-approved and accepted,
right.
okay?
yeah.
And do we have a 50-foot right-of-way? on
No,
that?
we don't. That's one of the requests I made about, in the subdivision regs, from the existing center line, you're supposed to give 25 feet. On there, if it's on one side, they're supposed to widen the right-of-way.
Right, how, the road existing now, right now, is how wide?
Somewhere 30 to 35 feet total, something like that. It varies, just like the pavement varies.
If I can jump in and just be a little hyper-technical, the 1840 farmhouse is close enough to the right-of-way line that if we give any right-of-way in that area, we will not be in compliance with the setbacks. So,
Well, no, we're not asking for a fee, we're asking for an easement. You know, I mean, just if they have to do work on the road or something, they can store materials there, or?
Oh, my goodness,
you know
that's
what I
easy.
mean? Just an easement, just a.
That's
not-
no
not-
problem, no problem at all.
You know?
We just don't want to deed any fee because we
You
would
know,
then
we don't want
become
a fee. We just
non-compliant.
want an easement for.
No problem.
As necessary to do work on the road, right?
Yeah, easy, we can, that is easy,
All right,
done.
okay. All right. Staff, any questions here? All right, should I pass to the commission? Maybe the commission will go first. If you want to go, please go.
No questions right at this point, taking this all in right now.
Okay, all right. Commission members?
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Is the plan, is it currently just one single home and this is going to get split into two homes?
It's currently considered, because it's connected, this is a building code issue, it's considered one dwelling.
Okay.
It operates as two and has since the pool house was turned from a pool club.
Okay.
And if you can imagine, and again, I wasn't here living in town when it was a pool club, but I think the town was pretty happy when it was no longer a pool club.
Sure, I can understand that.
And so they filled in the pool, and Bob Laflamme's son, Kevin Laflamme, raised his kids, who are now about teenage years. In their younger years, that's where they lived. Seems like a cool place to me. It's a big open space in
Yeah,
there.
I saw the
And then
pictures.
rooms off of it. So technically, it's been one dwelling. It has operated as two. The 1840 farmhouse has been a rental since, I think, before the Laflammes even took it over. But certainly in the Laflammes' term of ownership, the 1840 farmhouse has been a rental. And then again, the only person who's lived in it since the Laflammes took it over was Kevin and his family till they moved. And so it's been vacant for a number of years.
Gotcha. So that's why you're saying there's no impact, is because it's been used as two residences, it'll still be.
Yeah,
two
I mean,
residences.
if you, when they were living in boats, if you drove up there, you never would have thought that technically when you go to the assessor's office that it's one dwelling. You never
Right.
would have thought that.
Thank you.
The other members of the commission have any questions? No?
Mr. Chair, I can confirm that we had, when the property was, when they were attempting to market the property, as a whole, we did have several inquiries from folks, and literally, there was some folks that wanted to do a yoga goat farm. They wanted to turn it into a wedding venue. There were other proposals, just trying to take advantage of the fact that it's such a unique property. But the access to the site from the road, which is in not great condition, and the movement of literally sometimes dozens and dozens of cars, in and out of the site proved problematic. They were granted the way the former owners, when they conducted their operation, were granted a special permit. So it was a fairly unique circumstance that apparently served the town well in the time that it was operational.
Okay, currently, this is a residential zone, Mark?
Yes.
All right, okay. So if there's any zone change, we can actually ask for off-site improvements on a zone change that we can't ask for, which is plain subdivision. So if somebody goes at a future date to change this to some sort of a recreational, because this is a fabulous building. This is a really 6,000 square feet, used to have a pool inside of it. If somebody went to, and it has a bunch of acreage attached to it, it looks like horse stables also. If somebody were to come in and make a change of zone, then we could insist on some kind of road improvement at that time. There's a difference when they get a zone change versus just a subdivision.
Right, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to as a zone change. I
Well,
mean,
if
it
they
isn't
wanted
a-
to change it to some sort of other zone, like some kind of unless it was a special permit that allowed some kind of different use, like a goat farm
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know if that's residential approved.
And I would foresee, in some instances, not a lot of support for something like that.
Right.
for an intense use, I would suspect that the neighbors on the road would not be amenable to that. And then again, the condition of the road is not great. And so that would present a fairly substantial obstacle.
Just a quick comment through the chair. I was going to keep my mouth shut. But this road is in bad shape from the minute you turn on it from Smith Pond Road. It's in bad shape. There's a blind spot probably 100 yards in that when you're coming from this property going back to Smith Pond Road, you're literally looking at the sky. You have no idea who's coming from the other direction. So anything more than what's already being done here, using these as residential, I think we'd require them to completely redo the road from Smith Pond in. Have you been on the road?
I have, yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
probably one of the worst roads that I've
Yeah.
traveled in Watertown.
The problem we have is that if you have a town-accepted road already, and you have a subdivision application, the law, the established law is we can't ask for off-site improvements from the developer, okay? And that's the way it is. And so we can't, we don't have the ability, we could do that, but of course, you know, that would be a problem. I would not like this commission to ever do anything that they're not legally entitled to do.
Yeah.
So,
And again, to support what Attorney Strube is saying, he did come to meet with us, and after hearing all of the kind of failed attempts to make some use of the property, and we kind of saw the obstacles as well, even in the joined buildings. And I guess at the time, in us viewing it, didn't think of, it was a creative thought that they came up with in terms of removing the physical separation between the two buildings and be able to maintain the setbacks. We actually just didn't think of that, and it didn't seem like it seemed like they would be fraught with variance requests, and it just didn't seem to work, but it seemed to be, again, a creative solution to the issue.
Yeah, either in 1990, either somebody really planned ahead or we got really lucky, because the main parts of those two structures is just about exact to allow both setbacks to be accurate. So I'd like to give somebody credit, but I can't imagine they did that on purpose. So.
One more comment through the chair. I would have no problem supporting the waivers that I believe Mr. Strube is going to be asking for.
okay, we have a question now whether or not we're going to want to hold a public hearing on this, or we want to just make a decision now. Does anybody from the commission have a motion to make regarding that?
Mr. Chairman, just to add, we do not have, we've started a review, Cameron started a review today, but we do not have a resolution. We have not worked through, all of the issues. So I guess I'd add another option as opposed to scheduling a public hearing or approving today, waiting for a staff resolution so we could.
Yeah, I'm happy to wait till
Look
next
through all
month,
the
because I
decisions.
would like the record to have my waiver request in writing. I just didn't want to spend the time on it until I came and spoke to you and saw if it was something you were comfortable with, so.
Okay. Yeah, we'll table this, okay, and continue it to the next meeting, and make an offer of the easement.
Oh, yeah, yes, we'll put it on a plan and show it to Paul,
And then
too.
we'll, and they'll have a resolution
Okay, great.
to deny, and we'll.
Yeah, we'll see how it
do
goes.
that, all right?
Do we need a motion to not do a public hearing?
No.
Yeah. I make a
Yeah, we
motion
have a motion to table.
that we table the two-lot subdivision for Robert Laflamme.
Your
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Cameron, don't feel like you have to overdo that first staff report.
But it's for you.
Okay, so you know this, it's a pitch to get there.
Oh, it's a nightmare. The road's so bad.
But even the fine
I
Smith,
was in that pool. That pool was cool.
was it?
Yeah.
Was not there anymore.
No, they filled it in. They said it. But it was, kids used to have birthday parties there and stuff like that.
Next item on the agenda is, pardon me for a second. I'm trying to find it here in our stuff. I'm reading the old minutes, all right. Bear with me a second. All right, soil engineering, Palm Coast Capital for site plan review of Tractor Supply. That is off, I understand that's off, they've withdrawn their application.
They went
There
back
were
to
some
it.
questions on that that Mark can explain. He did talk to Tractor Supply, and they had a re-subdivision application, which would have required a public hearing, and there were conflicts between the applications, so they withdrew it. They're going to wetlands, and they're going to come back next month. Is that correct, Mark?
Yes,
A
that's
simple
correct.
synopsis of that?
Yes.
Did I miss anything important?
No, I tried to, kind of list it in a summary fashion on the
Pleasure.
agenda, so that's fairly accurate at this point.
Okay, all right. So number C is Turnberry Estates. Request for a second 90-day extension to file the special permit on the land records.
Through the chair, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay, do I hear a motion to,
So moved.
so move to give them a 90-day extension?
Correct.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. They have a 90-day extension.
I'm back.
We have no old business. Thankfully, Ken Demers is back, saving our souls. Let's see, new public hearing, site plan and special permit application, VFW post number 7330. Approved site plan for installation of 43 parking spaces with associated stormwater management system. I understand that the last meeting we had on this was the question of, unfortunately, we had the current town engineer prepared the original plans. And I asked whether or not it would be necessary to have another independent engineer review those. And we went to the town attorney on that, and the town attorney agreed that we had a potential conflict of interest, and we needed, unfortunately, Mr. DiFrederico, that this is in fact the case, and it's a conflict of interest that we cannot, unfortunately, we can't waive that, all right? So I understand that our zoning administrator, Mark Massoud, has prepared a list of potential engineers. Mark, would you take it from here, please?
Given that the commission made the request for a third-party review, I reached out to NV Cog. They did agree that they have and maintain lists of consulting engineers just for this purpose. They provided me with a list of half a dozen engineers. The process for obtaining and getting a third-party review in the town has some moving parts to it, so we have to reach out to all of them. We have to provide them with a plan, give them the scope of the review. They have to give us an estimate, and we have to prepare some documents for the town council or for the finance department to approve, because there's a transfer of funds from the applicant to the town, and the town pays the consultant. So again, there are some moving parts to it. I hate to keep saying this. It's been in the past, and hopefully won't occur any more with Cameron on board. We'll make it a priority to get that process in place. and have some answers for you by the next meeting.
I'd like to see it moved along as ASAP, so that the VFW gets its opportunity to do this within the time period of the grant, and also work in cooperation of picking with the VFW and with the land use administrator, agreeing on who's going to do the review, so that it's not, like one-sided. Make it a cooperative effort, okay? And do our best to make it the difficult situation as practical and as reasonable as possible.
Absolutely.
Okay, appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, thank you. All right.
Do you want to see if he has anything he wants to say?
Yeah, do you want to say anything, Richard? I mean, you don't have to, but you're welcome.
We can hear you, just talk loud.
I just want to thank you guys for everything you're doing for us. It's been a long time, and it's kind of hard to,
No, Richard, you have to push the button. It had so, little.
There you go.
Okay, there you go. Okay, now it can be recorded.
All right, so it's hard for us, it's hard for me. I just want you to understand something. Some who know me from years ago, I'm a disabled vet, and I had something wrong up here in the service. So it's a learning experience for me again, but I do learn, and I want to thank everybody for helping me and helping the VFW and the veterans in this town for this. I want to thank you guys all very much, and I appreciate it. That's what I want to say.
Well, we appreciate you and thank you for your service.
I have one question.
But
Through the chair, sorry, just one question. I watched the wetlands meeting, and I know there's talk about a footbridge. Where is that bridge going to be?
Okay, can I get one of those prints now? Of course. Hold on. I brought them because I didn't know who wanted them. I also.
Perfect.
It's, I'm gonna ask you to look. So this is the back of the building. So it'll be right here, about right there. See what it is? I have a copy of the bridge, how much it's gonna cost, and I have a copy of what the bridge we're hoping to make it look like.
Okay.
If you want that, I have that also.
Was the bridge originally there?
We had a bridge originally.
Okay.
I have a copy of that too.
Okay, that's fine.
What happened, like I said, years ago, this was a parking lot.
Yep.
There was a street light here. Eversource gave me 13 grand because we're paying for a street light in a parking lot. They gave me 13 grand. But that's where it's gonna be. You
Okay.
walk there, she's like, you can have to need it.
No, we're good. I just want to know where it was going to be.
So, and they've never been flooded.
No, never say never.
Well, you know my parents' house.
I know, your parents' house has been flooded all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I need a motion to table the public hearing on this matter.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the public hearing is tabled until the February meeting. D, the site plan for development of a two-family dwelling, 131 Falls Avenue with 4 parking spaces.
Mr. Chairman, obviously, there is no one here to represent the applicant. Carol reached out to them this morning, and confirmed that, in fact, we had a public hearing. We're not quite sure why they're not here. We did take into account, not into account, we've noted, I think as Commissioner Dan did, that the plan does not actually show, or they have not provided an actual site plan for the application. They have some renderings, and it has a smaller version of the site attached to it, but it in fact does not meet our requirements for a site plan to show the parking, et cetera. I've had, just for a little background, probably months of conversation with the architect As I helped them to move through the process, they started with a parcel that, we started actually with two parcels and asked about the ability to develop them. There were two parcels. One parcel had an existing single-family dwelling on it. They were adjacent to each other. I advised them that in order to do that, I advised them as to their options. So they actually took my suggestions and they combined the two parcels together. They, not at my suggestion, but they removed the existing dwelling, and they wanted to improve it as a triplex, as a three-family. I think they didn't have the frontage. They didn't have the frontage in order to do that, but a two-family was certainly acceptable. They drew up the plans, as you can see from the zoning location survey, and they fit the duplex. They had the parking, but and so I thought they were making pretty good progress. They had dropped off for a few months, and then decided that they wanted to go forward. So, you have the application in front of you, but, we still seem to have a bit of a communication problem in terms of, they thought at the last meeting that they were approved. They called the office and said, well, thank you for approving our project. And it's like, no, we didn't do that. You have a public hearing, so they knew. So I suppose we're going to have to reach back out to them and very clearly and specifically tell them what they need to do.
Okay, so.
Which is really just to bring a site plan to you.
Yeah, okay, so what I would think we should do is,
Yeah, right.
you should probably reach out to them, tell them exactly what we need, okay? Tell them we will probably continue the public hearing until
Yep.
next month, and that if they don't have their site plan ready, then they can give you a letter requesting an extension of the public hearing
Yep.
to give them an opportunity to finish the site plan. And, unfortunately, there's this misunderstanding, miscommunication here.
Yeah.
So, do I hear a motion to continue the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the public hearing should continue to the February meeting of the board. I think that would handle it, all right? We have communication and bills, quarterly newsletter of the Federation of Planning and Zoning and the Connecticut Land Use Law for Municipal. There is a virtual meeting. Mark, have you ever been to one of these 5.5-hour meetings? 6-hour meetings?
I have. I've actually attended them numerous times. They used to hold them in person on a Saturday at Wesleyan University. They're an extremely well-attended event. They used to draw up several hundred people to the auditorium. It's put on, obviously, by the Connecticut Land Use Association, and they're well attended. Actually, of course, when they moved to the virtual concept because of COVID, they increased and have maintained their numbers.
Well, yeah, they give you free lunch, guys, and you get the best land use attorneys and land use specialists speaking about various things about zoning. So it's very educational. And they
It
give
is.
you handouts, too.
They give you a nice thick handout of the proceedings. We refer to it on a regular basis. Right, they used to give a lunch, but now your lunch is at home. The cost will be borne by the agency, by the town, and it's highly recommended. And it also goes towards your, any credits you need in terms of maintaining.
We do need,
Kind of
there is a
certification.
requirement for zoning commissioners, to planning and zoning members to have some sort of continuing legal education, or
Correct.
continuing zoning education, right?
Yep.
And we should, gentlemen, we should look into that, if anybody would like to go to that meeting. I'm probably going to go. I've been to several. If somebody want to come with me, I'd be very happy to go with them. I know it takes time.
It's virtual though, is it?
It's a webinar, oh, it's on.
March
all right, wait a second.
22nd.
It's on, it's a Zoom,
It's
guys.
virtual, so who's gonna go with you?
Nobody. It's virtual.
It's a Saturday.
All right, so I recommend that, what?
You're not opening your house up to us?
No, I'm not,
You have a
no.
big screen
no.
TV?
I do.
We're in.
Do you have beer?
Yes, I do.
Jesus would be a good
And-
excuse to
and I'm
buy
missing
that
the- I'm missing the
90-inch flat
Connecticut,
screen
the
TV.
UConn Huskies basketball game is on at 6:30 tonight, but I'm recording it, so. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All again, opposed? No.
Never get a turn.
Meeting adjourned.